We are doing a late night kind of book review, planning makeup. I've just got home. I took off my work makeup. I am in my pajamas already. And honestly, I've had one hell of a day and I am ready to do something else. So starting out today, got a phone call from my mom. She said Toby, our dog from home, has, gotten into something. He's sick. She rushed him to the vet today, and they ended up telling her that he was in kidney failure. And as soon as she left the vet, left him with the vet to get treated, he started going into seizures. So they were going to give him some fluids and see how he was going to go within the next 24 hours until we had to make a decision. So they called her back later that day and saying every time that the sedation wears off that he goes back into seizures. So we can't let him suffer. So Mommy made that decision to just go ahead and let him feel better. So he is back home. He is buried up on his hill that he liked to play on. And not sick. You make the right decisions, and sometimes they're just not the easiest. So I had that, and then I went into work, and of course people yelled at me all day, so that was really good. And I had cramps all day. But it was fun. I laughed a lot at work. I have good people I work with. Just gotta keep on moving. Got off work, went into Kroger, because I really needed something sweet and something to snack on since my weekend started today. I have been looking for Dunkaroos for my boyfriend because he has been talking about them since they'd been saying that they were going to release them. Finally found some, and I was terrible, and I've never done this before, and I felt really selfish, but I cleared the shelf, because who knows when he's going to get them again. I've never tried them, so we're going to wait until the morning when he gets home till I'm going to try one with him, and he's going to, of course, try them to see how it compares to what it was when he was little. My bad. Then, of course, I've got me some chocolate, and I've got me some beef jerky, and I got me some pop. So, I'm gonna stay up late, unless I just pass out, play some Fortnite, maybe read another book, and then see where my weekend takes me, even though it is Wednesday night, Thursday morning. It's 00:44 right now. So it's just past midnight, getting ready to go into 1. So the one book that we're going to talk about that I just finished, it was night before last now. So last night, since I haven't been to sleep yet. It's The Worst Best Man by Sosa. It is following Lena Santos, a respected wedding planner. She's working really hard to land a job with a hotel, being their main wedding coordinator. There is a hiccup. The owner of the hotel now is kind of waging a competition with Carolina and another guy that's trying to compete to see who has the better, platform to go ahead and work with their hotel company and be their, they want to be the main wedding event place. So they want the best of the best coordinators. They also are bringing in it's kind of like promoters. Like, they take all the information and they put it out there, and then they kind of work advertisers. That's a good way. Like, they are specializing in advertising a product, a person, a service. But what she doesn't know is the people she's working with, she is very familiar with. One is an Andrew Hartley and the other is a Max Hartley. And Andrew ended up being Carolina's ex-fiance who actually left her at the altar. And Max is Andrew's younger brother who Carolina thinks that he's the reason that Andrew left her. So she walks into that, first meeting and kind of works with it from there, and it's kind of like a shock. So they end up getting paired. Carolina gets paired with Max, and the other planner gets paired with Andrew, which we don't know who. He's not really involved in the planning or in the story at all. He's mentioned, but he's never makes an appearance. So throughout all of this, Lena and Max, they're coming together. They make amends with one another, and they find out all the truth that came from the lies throughout the entire, the breakup, after the wedding and everything there. And then Carolina and Max, obviously that's their main focus. They are finding out who they are together and how they work together. So just having that little bit of background and a little bit of drama thrown in, it makes it seem like this is going to be a really exciting book for me to go ahead and jump into. And I could not wait to get started into it. So starting with anything else, obviously I'm going to go ahead and prime my eyes. I'm going to try and be fast. I really am. Because, oh, well, I definitely globbed that. Always taking my Farrah 35E and using this to go ahead and blend. I start in the middle, kind of spread it out, and then I'm going to move up to the top. I don't want anything super chunky up here at the top, and I'm constantly trying to pull down and kind of seeing where it needs to be. So The Worst Best Man, I did have an actual physical copy of this book from my library. When I got home, I did check on Hoopla and Libby to see if it was available for a download for audio. And Hoopla did have a couple available, so I went ahead and got that. And as you know, if there's one, there's going to be the other, and I'm definitely going to get both. Again, probably a little selfish, but I'm feeling a little selfish lately. But I always feel like the audiobook is such a helpful piece, especially if you're trying to get through a book not as quickly as possible, but it helps me kind of sink things into my brain, especially if there's a lot of dialogue, a lot of conversations. Again, this is no different. I'm always going to suggest the audio. It lets you get through it faster. I think so. You can do things while you're listening to it. And you don't have to worry about carrying a book around. It's right there on your phone. You always have your phone. I know you do. If you don't, you're fucking lying. And it just works. It's what you do now. I mean, let's be honest. Who doesn't have their phone available to listen to something? So, again, audiobook, duh. Physical book was okay. I get a little bored sometimes when I'm reading, and I don't know why it is. I do not have the capacity to make a different voice in my head. I have zero capacity of picturing who these people are in the book unless they are really described, or maybe there is, let's say I watch a movie before the book. If there was a movie, that's who I was going to picture. I didn't have that this time, and that's fine, but that's why I like my audio. It's a voice I can put with a name. I'm going to play with my, again, Pure Festival 2.0. My VIP pass just went ahead and said, fuck it, and we just got rid of it the rest of the way. It was making a mess. It was horrible to work with. Hated it. So back to mentioning the audio, what makes this book different than what I've read lately, especially in the romance category, is thinking back to the Bromance Book Club and Undercover Bromance. There wasn't a grand gesture that was really put into place. This, The Worst Best Man, there was a lot of open communication and work towards that openness. I really love a good dialogue, especially when it's accomplishing something together as a whole that is going to play into the strength of what the book is actually trying to do. And Worst Best Man, especially with Carolina and Max and Andrew, they were keeping secrets, or they were very closed off, and that was kind of holding all of them back in a way. So the open communication in all types really kept me interested, really kept me on my toes. I didn't know who was going to say what or what was going to go where. And Carolina definitely used the conversation to kind of save her in the job position she was in, just because, I mean, it lets you explain what's going on and kind of fight for your case and who you are and smooth things over instead of just staying quiet. I crave an open communication in a relationship, and I got it. Whether it's going to be a professional or a romantic relationship, it was there. This is I've got a question that I was thinking about, after I finished it, and it's something that I'm probably never going to think of again, and it's, do I think the title could have been something else? And that is simply yes, and it's because there is a very, very small part at the very beginning when Max was actually the best man. If it was following Carolina and Andrew when they got engaged to while Max was actually being the best man, where he was actively being terrible in his role and being the real reason that Andrew would have left, that would have made more sense. In this case, sure, we had the impression that he was the worst best man because Andrew said that the reason that he left Lena at the altars because Max said something and made him realize that's not what he wanted to do, that he didn't want to marry Lena. But then we find out that's not what it was. I just feel like the title did not serve any kind of real purpose into what the book was telling me you're trying to do. This was my first Mia Sosa book, and I'm not turned off to her other books just because of that one little thing with the title. Like, that's minor. That's just one thing that I did notice. And it's probably just a me thing. It's probably not me, like, connecting my brain with what the real world is. And that is a very possible situation. I don't know what kind of shadow this is in the vibes in this pure palette, but it's not creamy, but it is very soft. And I'm hoping that it really does just blend. And it's a really pretty color. It's shimmery, but not glittery. But it is very soft in the pen. Like, you put your finger in it, you're gonna definitely let it be a noticeable thing that you've kind of molested it, you know what I mean? I've been really enjoying these red and brown colors lately. I don't know if it's the fall or just the fact that somebody told me that they didn't like how they looked on me. That could be a reason. But for now, I like it. I also like being spiteful, which is my favorite hobby. Yeah, not a ton of fallout under my eyes. Not mad about it. Not mad at all. So I'm taking my $1 Billion Beauty sponge here, getting my trusty hydrochloric acid tinted moisturizer from Colourpop. I do 2 squirts, nothing ridiculous. I probably should have done 1 since it's late and I'm gonna just take it off. But it is what it is. I mean, my dogs aren't gonna comment on how much I've got on. And it's a moisturizer. It's really thin, really sheer. I'm never going to stop bragging on Colourpop, any type of cosmetic that they have. I have never been disappointed, and this is no different. So I need to know. I take a lot of notes when I'm reading. I have a notebook. I have it right here with me. I have a couple of things that I did write down when I didn't have my computer for my questions. And is that weird? If I own a book, and I'm sure this is kind of sinful anyway for some people, if I own a book, I go ahead and annotate it. Like, I love making little comments, little notes in it. And it's just for me. I'm the one that's looking at all of this stuff. And it's not wrong. It's not like I dog-eared a page or, you know, snapped a spine on it. Oh no, not dry skin. It is the time of year that I do start getting dry skin, so I need to, 1, drink more water. I hope you are drinking water. And 2, make sure I am moisturizing enough. And then over moisturize. I feel like I look really light in this camera, but I promise I think it's just the light from my ceiling. Because with this, just normal, like looking at me normal, it looks fine. But we can give me some life with some bronzer and some blush. And we'll see from there. Sometimes you just really gotta have a good Sprite. And I wanted it so bad that I don't even care that it's not cold. I opened that box up and I just took one out and I had at it. So, I'm telling you, my notebook for all this stuff. Look how cute. It's got tape on the spine because I overused this. And of course, it's one of them 75-cent notebooks that ain't gonna last you too long. But let me tell you the first thing that I said when I was reading this book. And it was pretty much immediately when Carolina walked into that office of the hotel and saw Max and Andrew. And she walked in there. Of course, she was like awestruck for a second. Like, holy shit, I know these people. They pretty much ruined my life for a good little bit. She walked in. She's like, you know what, fuck you, in her head. And she just reached her hand out, shook their hand, introduced herself like she didn't know them. And I love that. I wrote in capital letters, a mood. Exclamation point, exclamation point. Like, that is the biggest badass thing I've ever read, and I would have never thought about it. She didn't let that stop her. She didn't let it scare her. But later on, she did have to explain, again with the conversation, that's kind of how she got herself out of an issue with the person looking to hire her. She did have to explain that she was using that as a way to protect herself and what exactly had happened to cause her to do that. So again, the communication saved her in a ridiculous, they called it a soap opera. I'm like, dude, I get that. Definitely. So there was a part in the book where Carolina and Max were going to like a farm, like a little retreat place for couples, to look at a venue for a client of Lena's. Carolina, yeah. And what happened, she drove her car, which is a super old car. It's wore out and, about give out. They's about walking anyway. When they were about 2 miles away from this venue to look at, her car battery died. They couldn't get it to start, couldn't get it to jump. So they called a local wrecker. Come get them. They were not going to be able to get them a new battery until the next morning. So they got a ride to the venue, still completed her task for her job since she is a professional. Oh, good Lord. But then they had to figure out where they're going to stay tonight. They were offered to stay in the barn for free, which it's not that bad. Or they were saw arguing by one of the guys for the couples retreat that was actively happening. They were like, we usually don't do this. We usually keep a spare room just in case one of the couples needs a break from each other. We can, rent it out to you for a night. Of course, you'll have to pay for it. $200 for one night. But they were expected to participate in the couple retreat things. So what did they do? They pretended to be a couple to stay in this room for one night for $200. Just to not sleep one night in any hay. Like, that's, for me, I even wrote, reaching a little when they had to stay at the farm during a couple's retreat. Like, I see what you're doing. I see why you're doing that, to kind of push it off the edge to get into that romantic part. And then I said, and then splitting the room, $200 for one day, pass. Oh, shit. I love reading my notes. I think I'm hilarious. There was an event. I said, but that bumper ball game seems crazy fun. I'd be down for that. They did have a game that did seem really fun that they participated in. It did look really fun. Sound really fun. And then what else did I write? Oh, I did, again, note the grand gesture part. I want something different. I don't need a save the day type of thing. I just want communication. Yes. Communication and then the touchy-feelies. This contour palette, Sculptor palette by Pure, this stuff is like super, super, super soft. But I do not think I am dark enough to have these. I don't do it. I don't think so. Or I just don't know how to place it. I think I blended it out enough that it doesn't look like I just picked up some dirt and went at my face on it. But who knows? And again, we can always cover it up with some blush. This is my favorite brush, it's blush. It's a Dirty Little Secret and it's Kitty Pink. And I'm not using it just because I really like it a ton. And I don't remember if it's actually on their website or still in stock. But I'm so afraid of losing this blush that it is special occasion only. And already, I'm already seeing like the pan indents on it. See the little circle in the middle? Like it's just too close for comfort. Who knows how long I've had it. But this Tarte Party, it's kind of the same thing. I really like these peachy ones. They're just, I feel like they look good on my skin. I will say in general, I was kind of sketchy about Max. I have a Post-it note. I didn't have my notebook at work one day. I was really sketchy about him. And I said from the start, Max feels like a guy that reposts the meninist junk on Facebook. Immediately an unlikable character. So obviously, Max had some growing to do on me. And he did, absolutely. It took a little bit, probably a little bit before, right at that couples retreat stay in Virginia they had to deal with. But what I wasn't expecting was Andrew to actually be the full-on villain. Like, he had been lying to the family for 3 years at least about why he left Lena, or what the reason was he left Lena at the altar. Because we had already knew, or at least that's how it started out in the book, that the night before the wedding, Max and Andrew were out drinking. Max had said something to Andrew about how he shouldn't marry her, or like he wasn't ready or something like that. And he's like, you know what, bud? Absolutely, I'm not going to marry her. So that's the story that we knew. That's the story that the family knew. That's the story that the mom knew, and the story that Carolina knew. So I get that part with it being the worst best man. And that's really, for me, the title of the book. That's where it stops. But of course, Andrew ended up being a villain. I said, what an asshole, made up a lie just to get out of marrying Lena. Like, I have some strong feelings about that. If you don't love her, you don't want to be with her, you're not the guy that can make her happy, like, you're just not it, just say you're not. It's okay. You don't have to be that. But Caroline was also marrying him because he's the guy that is not going to break her walls down. He's the guy that's not going to see her cry, make her cry, or feel all these things that she doesn't want people to know that she has feelings for. And again, I get that. And in the book, we definitely find out about why she doesn't want to be with somebody like that. About why that person is her worst fear. But of course, with any romance, you're going to have your soulmate found in this book. And guess who it was? Bingo, it's Max. So, not surprised at that. Kind of enjoyed it. I also would not have been mad if Max really did do some shit or say some shit while they were engaged in one book, The Worst Best Man, caused the breakup, and then this book being the second book to where Lena and Max get together. I would not be mad about that. Honestly, I think it's a great idea. My dog got a hold of this Hank and Henry lipstick, and it was the coolest thing I'd ever seen in my life before. There's this little button. This tube goes or used to go in all the way in it. You'd push the button. This would pop out, and you would have that. Now, I can only push it in so far because this doesn't work, obviously, because dog got hold of it. I cried. I'm not going to lie. I was very upset. I hadn't even got to use it yet. Immediately heartbroken. I almost rated this book a 3 out of 4 stars. And then I was like, you know what? I actually enjoyed this book. I liked the cover of the book. It's my type of style of artwork that catches my eye. Obviously, why I picked it up. This was not on my TBR before I grabbed it. I was at the library and it said, hey, Paige, grab me real fast. You won't regret it. So, I did. And I didn't regret it. It kept me company, kept me busy. And here we are. So, I left it at 4 stars because I would recommend it. I would say, hey, definitely pick that up. So far, just from this one book, Mia Sosa is a trustworthy writer, trustworthy author, trustworthy storyteller, trustworthy to surprise me with small things, the small things that matter, like Andrew being a fucking liar to his whole family. And throwing little brother Max right under the bus to not tarnish his name. His own name. So, wasn't ready for that. But I enjoyed it. It was a ride. Wasn't mad about it. You know, we played with some makeup, talking about my book that I liked. And here we are. So, I don't know what else to do. I'm probably going to finish this up. We're going to stop it. I'm going to bring my dogs in. We're going to eat some snacks. And then take this off, obviously. And then finally crash and go to sleep. Tomorrow's hopefully going to be a better day. But we're going to wake up. We're going to find out. And we're going to work on it. See if it is a better day. So, thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Okay, thank you. And bye.